Okay, so I didn't know that a chapter for One Punch Man had come out a couple days ago. I think it was literally 2 days ago, but I'll get on it now. So let's talk about One Punch Man 77. Bored as usual. Now this chapter, it gave us something a little bit different to what we normally see from One Punch Man. We didn't see any fights. I mean, we saw aspects of one fight, then we saw kind of a one shot, a Saitama thing all over again. But we saw something that we haven't seen in other chapters. Now we saw Saitama really having this kind of inner monologue last chapter, this kind of inner conflict where he wasn't sure why he was a hero anymore. He wasn't sure, nothing was exciting him anymore. He couldn't grow stronger, all that type of stuff. And this chapter continues that, but this time the chapter starts with King bumping into Saitama. So King being the guy with 3 scars, the S-class hero, meant to be the strongest warrior in the world. Now their interaction, this whole chapter, this entire chapter, the interaction was solid. It was so good, because this chapter was more of a character building chapter, a character progression chapter on Saitama's part and on King's part, and we don't usually get that, especially with Saitama. So I really enjoyed the interaction. I thought it was really good. And what it was King notices Saitama's gloomy. He thinks it's because he's bold, and I was laughing my ass. I was like, really? You think it's because he's bold? And then Saitama unloads all his worries on King. He's like, I'm too strong. I don't feel anything anymore when I'm fighting. I don't feel happiness, sadness, exhilaration. I don't feel the bitter tears of defeat. And the thing that seems to be weighing on Saitama the most is that he can't progress any further. He can't get any stronger. He's reached the pinnacle. He's maxed out. There's nothing he can do. So King's like, the pinnacle of strength is good for a hero. King is the voice of reason in this entire chapter. He's the voice of reason, the voice of optimism, and he's just the logical voice, the kind of voice of progression in this chapter. So King's like, yeah, the pinnacle of strength is good for a hero. But then Saitama's like, you don't get it. Let me put it in video game context for you, because you're an otaku. You'll get that. I'll put it in a video game perspective. So Saitama's like, once you've maxed out in a game, once you've maxed out all your stats, things get boring. Once you've got all max health, max strength, max mana, max whatever, things get boring. And I laughed my ass off when I saw the next panel, because King's he's just got a straight face and he's like, what about the collectibles? what about you can speed run the game, you can get collectibles, all types of collectibles, items, weapons, all that type of stuff, mingle with other players online and all that type of stuff. And Saitama was like, wait, but this is reality. And King's like, you brought up games, bro, it's your bad. So I was laughing my ass off at that. I thought that was pretty good. But I like this interaction between King and Saitama, because they're talking to each other as equals, even though they're complete opposites almost. King is he's a monster in terms of gaming, manga, all that stuff. He's a Saitama level in games and things like that. Whereas Saitama is maxed out strength, maxed out vigor, maxed out everything in terms of fighting and power and strength and all that type of stuff. So they're opposites in that sense, but they're equals. They're talking as equals on this in this whole chapter, and you wouldn't really expect that with like Saitama and Genos, or Saitama and someone else, because I just don't think Saitama would unload his feelings on Genos. Maybe it's because it's his student. Maybe it's because he feels Genos wouldn't understand exactly what he's going through. But for some reason, maybe it's because King's older. Maybe it's because King understands exactly, because Genos understands how powerful Saitama is, but I think the only person who really truly understands exactly how powerful Saitama is, who has unwavering faith in Saitama, is King. And King understands exactly how strong Saitama is, and Saitama understands exactly how weak King is. But they both treat each other as equals, and so that was the aspect of this chapter that I really liked. The fact that they're talking on an equal level and they're just taking shots at each other, and it's quite funny all the way through this chapter. They're just taking shots at each other. So Saitama then carries on. He's carrying on unloading all this kind of like emo hatred for himself. So he's like, I hate the fact that a fight provides myself with zero emotions. That's what Saitama's hating, and the fact that he can't progress. And King, all the way through this chapter, he's like, Saitama's like, I'm feeling zero emotions. I'm numb. And King's just pissing him off little by little all the way through this chapter. Is hilarious. And so then Saitama gets to the root of it, which seems to be alongside the fact that he can't progress in strength, that he's suffering from the loneliness of being a hero. Although if you've read One Punch Man, and if you're reading One Punch Man and you're watching this review, you'll know that it's not his strength which is causing his loneliness. It's because of his attitude and his character. So it's not because of his power that he's alone. So King pisses off Saitama once again by telling him, even though you're bored, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to change anything you're doing to relieve your boredom. You're in this phase where you're accumulating all this boredom, but you're not doing anything. You're not moving out of any position that you're currently in to change your boredom levels. You're not getting out of your comfort zone. So Saitama's just looking at him like, bitch, don't talk to me like that. But yes, I found that pretty funny. But King, like I said, he's talking to Saitama on a level of where they're both equals. So then he gives this awesome speech. King gives this awesome speech about humans being eternal wanderers. They need to constantly wander. They need to find new things. They need to constantly be in new places, doing new things. And then he says to Saitama, "You're confusing power and triumph. What you have is power, but have you triumphed? Have you succeeded? Have you done things which you're proud of?" And so he then continues, says heroism is much more than a quest for strength. And then there's like I was saying, they're taking shots at each other all the way throughout this chapter. And Saitama in this panel, right after King says that heroism is a quest for strength, isn't a quest for strength. It's much more than that. And Saitama's like, "Are you lecturing me on heroism? Really? Right now?" So I was laughing my ass off at that, because it's true. King is the least heroic of all the S-class heroes, and possibly all the heroes, because he can't do anything. He's actually just a regular human, and who's actually shit afraid of everything that comes at him. So King lays down what a hero is to Saitama. He's like, it's not someone who fights for the exhilaration, for the sadness of defeat, for the nice feelings, or for anything like that. But it's someone who protects people, who serves society. And he's right. Heroes serve society. Heroes should be the people who are there to protect the others, the people who don't have the benefit of awesome strength, awesome powers, all that type of stuff. So then he lays the best line of the chapter for me, which was, "You may be the strongest hero, Saitama, but you're not the best. You don't have the ideals, you don't have the conviction, you don't have that inner character that a hero needs to have." So then he asks Saitama the defining question of the chapter, which is, what is the pinnacle of heroism? What is the pinnacle of heroism to you? You can't worry about being bored until you've discovered what it is and you've achieved that, because then you'll be the best hero. You might be the strongest and you might be an undefeated hero in terms of your hero stats and your hero career, but you're not the best hero. You don't serve the people. You don't do things right by the people. So then King says that he's thinking in his head, I ripped that speech straight from a manga. I was like, yo, this guy, I had so much respect for him. And then he goes, "Oh yeah, I just took that straight from a manga." So I was like, oh my god. But yeah, I really like that interaction. Like I've said like 3-4 times already, King is relieving Saitama of his inner conflict. He's really just soothing Saitama's worries. And Saitama, I think, because of this chapter, is gonna come back and he's gonna be a lot stronger than he's not gonna be a lot stronger. He's just gonna be a lot more focused than he was before. And like I said, King's speech seems to move Saitama a bit, and I hope it's kindled. It looked like it kindled the flames of kind of retribution, kindled the flames of coming back for Saitama. So Saitama still says, but it's boring. He's continuing his kind of little phase. And then King challenges him to a fighting game. He's like, "I'll come play fighting games with me. I'll show you." And then Saitama's like, "I won't be ruled. I won't be lured in by that." King says, I thought you wanted to taste bitter defeat. Once again, taking a shot at Saitama. And Saitama's like, "I'm so numb. Even you beating me in fighting games, you won't do anything to anger me." And then King's all like, "Okay, what if I only play with 2 fingers? That's the handicap I'll give you." Saitama gets pissed like, "You what?" I was like, yo. So then we move on to a different aspect of the chapter, which is Garou, the hero hunter, and he's bloodied and beaten. And the last time we saw him, he was up against Watchdog Man. He was going to attack Watchdog Man. So Watchdog Man obviously whooped the shit out of Garou, but we didn't know whether Watchdog Man was okay, whether he was dead. So we assume, because Garou says that Watchdog Man chased him out of his territory, basically, and Watchdog Man only protects his territory, which is his downside, because now Garou can get stronger. He didn't die because of Watchdog Man. He ran out of his territory, and Watchdog Man was like, "Alright, my city's cool, we're done." So then you see this scene where Garou's fighting Watchdog Man, and he uses his like flowing water rock smashing fist, something like that. I think it's actually called that. I might be right, but and you see him using all his attacks, and Watchdog Man is just shaking his hand like a dog would. I was like, oh my god, yo. And so what you realize here is, And you see the analytic side of Garou. He realizes his martial arts are incomplete because he's lacking knowledge on how to fight non-human opponents. He realizes that Bang never got to that point, never taught him that, that part of his martial arts. So he realizes he's incomplete as a martial artist. But he also realizes that that Watchdog Man wasn't probably even going all out, and I personally think that Watchdog Man is he's obviously some sort of, he must be, there's got to be something to him, because he has the same dead expression that Saitama has. He just seems so OP for someone who's a furry, and I think Garou even makes mention of that. So what you see then from Garou is that he's the exact opposite of what Saitama is at this point. He narrowly escaped death. He has excitement overflowing at the idea of a rematch with Watchdog Man. He's never felt more alive. He can become much more stronger. All of these don't apply to Saitama. He can't get stronger. He doesn't feel the excitement anymore. All of that stuff. So he's walking down, escaping. He's escaped from Watchdog Man, and then he suddenly sees Saitama and King walking down the road, and he's like, "Oh shit!" So he attempts to kill King. And he does all this fancy shit, like he's reading King's posture. He's like, if he moves this way, I'll kill him, I'll kill him. So he's identifying his center of gravity and all that stuff. And then Saitama 1 kicks him through a wall. And I was like, whoa. And you get that comical wall imprint, or the wall shattered in such a way that it left the remnants of his body in the wall. So I was laughing my ass off at that. That was funny. But King doesn't really know what's going on in terms of the city and what's happened, because he skipped the text that the Hero Association sent him. So then Saitama talks about how he can kind of relate to the Hero Hunter, who he just, unknown to him, he just kicked through a wall. But he has high expectations for Garou. He can kind of relate to him because they're both weird, and because Garou is the only human who really come out and said he wants to be a monster, where Saitama was like, I want to be a hero. So he identifies with that, and he has high expectations for Garou. But he doesn't realize that he just kicked the shit out of him through the wall. But once again, Garou won't die. It wasn't a hard enough kick. It wasn't a serious enough kick for him to die. Garou's going to come back a lot stronger. I don't know who he's going to come back for next, but I seriously don't understand why Watchdog Man is so like on another level. He's a lot faster than Garou. He's a lot stronger than Garou, and he beat the shit out of Garou. But he only protects his own territory, something Saitama will really need to start identifying with, because he needs to find something. Like King was saying, you need to find what the pinnacle of heroism is to you. You need to find what you want to do as a hero. You want to set goals and stuff, and you want to discover what that is and then achieve it. So I really like this chapter. I mean, there was very little action, but it was a solid chapter, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give it like an 8.5 out of 10. It was a solid chapter, and I liked the interaction between King and Saitama. I mean, they're complete opposites in terms of strength, in terms of character, and all that type of stuff. But they were talking to each other as equals, and they were rinsing each other. And it's not something you can see Saitama doing with anyone else. You wouldn't see him doing that with Bang. You wouldn't see him doing that with Genos or anybody else. So I really enjoyed the chapter. Let me know what you guys thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys when the next Nanatsu no Taizai chapter and Fairy Tail chapter drop. So see you guys then.